and in other cases I can also say good afternoon, because one of such greetings would be applicable to the region in which you now find yourselves. Straight Talk is a public service program that facilitates and promotes free expression on all issues of national interest, be they legal, be they environmental, be they technological, social, economic, and or political issues. On Straight Talk, you do have a forum to express yourselves freely. Let's in the process continue to keep St. Kitts and Nevis as one of the freest countries in the entire world. On this program, we try to raise the level of national consciousness. We try to raise the level of national discourse by alerting our people to their rights, to their responsibilities, and certainly to their obligations. My name is Ian Patches Liburd, and I give Almighty God thanks for blessing me with yet another opportunity to join you in conversation, my Straight Talk family, on yet another occasion. We now, sometimes I should say, are first-time listeners, first-time viewers, and I am duty-bound to inform you that we do include your calls and your emails, because Straight Talk is a participative program. By that I mean you can call us via our local number, which is 465 take that back, 2555, yes, I'm going right, and or 718-577-2916, or you can access us via our email platform, which is zizstraightalk@gmail.com. That is zizstraightalk@gmail.com, my Straight Talk family. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time, again, welcome, and we trust and hope it won't be your last time. Just tell your friends, tell your family, tell the world that Straight Talk is heard every Monday and Thursday from 8 to 10 p.m. once God permits. Tonight I am minded to have what I call an open forum. I have not had an open forum for quite some time. I just thought that I would allow my Straight Talk family to introduce the issues or the topics of their choice. But as usual, I like to get up to date. And before I do so, which I'll do so shortly, I want to inform you or bring you up to date as it relates to the management of the COVID, the continuing, I should say, management of the COVID pandemic in St. Kitts and Nevis. And just yesterday, it was reported by the Health Emergency Operations Center, Dr. Marissa Carty, in fact, didn't advise us there was one additional case in St. Kitts and Nevis.
This evening I will be sharing with you the Health Emergency Operating Center COVID-19 Situation Report for March 17th. The Ministry of Health would like to bring to your attention this evening that we have one additional confirmed case of COVID-19 within the Federation. This brings our total of confirmed cases to 44, with 30 cases in St. Kitts, 14 cases in Nevis.
And 14 cases in Nevis, and I may add, no deaths. Thank God for sparing lives, my Straight Talk family. And interestingly enough, I also came across the CDC, that's the Center for Disease Control in the USA, as it relates to their travel recommendations And in the process, the CDC has put countries into groups based on their level of COVID-19 risks. And there are 4 groups. Matter of fact, there are 5 groups. But in Group 4 is categorized as very high level. And it recommends, it meaning the CDC recommends that travelers should avoid traveling to these destinations. And of course, for us as the Caribbean people, we look at and see which Caribbean islands are rather classified as very high risk destinations, and they include Antigua and Barbados, Guyana, Curacao, Jamaica, to name a few, also Cuba, and the other countries such as Canada, Indonesia, Norway, and many other countries listed as the level 4 or COVID-19 very high risk countries. And it is recommended by the CDC that travelers should avoid these destinations, my straight talk family. The level 3 countries I should say, are listed as high risk countries as relates to COVID-19, and it is recommended that travelers should avoid all non-essential travel to the following destinations, which are listed as level 3 or high risk countries, which includes the Bahamas, beg your pardon, Montserrat, and other countries outside of the Caribbean, such as the Cameroon, Morocco, Japan, and other places, other countries as well. And the recommendation for level 2 listed countries, which are categorized as a moderate risk, and travelers, it is recommended, are at increased risk for severe illness from COVID-19, and they should avoid all non-essential travel to these destinations, which include Bermuda, Dominica, Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean, and countries like Singapore, Hong Kong, and many other countries that are also listed as moderate, as a moderate level. That's at level 2. And coming in at a very low level, and COVID-19 low, and at level 1. And at level 1, the CDC recommends that all travelers to these countries should wear a mask, avoid crowds, stay at least 6 feet from people who are not traveling with them, wash your hands often, or use hand sanitizer, and watch your health for signs of illness. And these countries include Anguilla, the BVI, Grenada, and of course St. Kitts and Nevis. But interestingly, there are some countries which are level unknown, and travelers, it is recommended that travelers should avoid all non-essential travel to the following destinations, because these countries have not reported COVID-19 data, so their risk is unknown. But important to us, my straight talk family, St. Kitts Nevis again coming in on level 1, number 1. It speaks highly to the management of the COVID pandemic in St. Kitts and Nevis. So we have to keep our guard up. We have to continue what I call this no-nonsense approach, because just a few days ago there's a COVID breach which I spoke about on a Monday last, and Superintendent Henry brought some additional information as it relates to this COVID breach at the NEOC briefing just yesterday.
The police on Nevis responded to reports of 2 security breaches at a resort there, The first breach occurred just after 1 p.m. on March 12th, when 2 of the guests from the group left the hotel's compound and ventured into an establishment in Charlestown. The second breach occurred between 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. on March 13th, when a group of 6 guests left the hotel compound to visit a nearby bar. This breach was also reported to the police. All 8 guests were moved to a government quarantine facility to continue their quarantine. The Ministry of Health in Nevis conducted an aggressive contact tracing exercise, which resulted in approximately 40 persons from the bar being quarantined for 14 days.
Quarantine for 14 days. But then it went beyond that. As for the COVID regulations, and the COVID regulations were also outlined by Superintendent
Between
Henry.
March 7th and 11th, a group of 88 U.S. nationals arrived in the Federation and traveled to Nevis, where they stayed at a resort there. Their condition of stay at the resort was vacation in place. The COVID-19 Act defines vacation in place as quarantine at a hotel or other accommodation with access to an approved package of services in the context of COVID-19.
And my Straight Talk family, it did not end there, because these 8 Americans were brought before the court, and we may ask ourselves if justice was applied.
The 8 U.S. nationals were arrested and formally charged for breaching their quarantine condition, and were this morning taken before the Charlestown Magistrate Court via a virtual hearing to answer the charges. They pled guilty and were each convicted and fined $4,000 to be paid forthwith or serve 6 months in prison. They remained at the quarantine facility at Potworks while arrangement for payment of the fines is made, after which they will be allowed to leave the Federation. Their COVID-19 tests so far have returned negative results.
Very interesting though about this, and when I spoke to Justice, is some 40 people were quarantined because of this irresponsible behavior by these 8 Americans. And it must be unfair, and some redress ought to be available to someone who would have been in that bar, or whichever bar they went to, and you have to be taken away from your family, robbed of your social time for 2 weeks, robbed of being able to work. And these cavalier individuals would just pay $4,000, jump on a plane and go back home. Perhaps they can afford it, no doubt, but 40 people left behind in quarantine and have no redress in terms of damages. But that's for another time. Meantime, my Straight Talk family, it's important that our vaccine program have been rolled out. From all accounts, it has been going very well.
In December last year, December 8th in the UK and December 14th in the United States, that the first vaccines were rolled out. We here in St. Kitts, like the rest of the world, then began to step up our vaccination education program in a timely manner after that. The onus, however, must be on each and every one of us. We need the combined strength, unity, and effort of all in the fight if we are going to be successful. You do not need a formal invitation to participate in the fight. You can use whatever platform you have available to get the message out. And in this era of fake news and misinformation, the media must understand that they also have a crucial role to play with balanced and factual reporting so that the public can be well informed.
And yes, my Straight Talk family, there has been quite a lot of talk about the AstraZeneca vaccine, and Dr. Cameron Wilkerson, the medical chief of staff, addressed that as well.
Health authorities in several European countries suspended the use of AstraZeneca vaccine following reports of formation of blood clots in some persons who were vaccinated. It is important to note that blood clots can occur naturally and are not uncommon. The WHO data shows that of the 268 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines that were administered worldwide, no serious side effects or deaths have been found to be caused by them. They have continued to report that AstraZeneca is an excellent vaccine and that no causal relationship had been established between the shots and the health problems that were identified, and that vaccination should continue.
So, AstraZeneca is safe. And my Stray Dog family, advice also came from the medical chief of staff in respect of the irresponsible behavior of some people in St. Kitts and Nevis.
My final advice: despite all the hard work that we have done in containing the virus here, everything can be lost by a few irresponsible persons. We must all work together to keep our country safe. We must not hesitate and get vaccinated as soon as we can. The vaccine is guaranteed to protect you. It can prevent you from getting sick, from getting severe disease, from being hospitalized, and more importantly, from dying.
And yes, my Stray Dog family,
final advice: despite all the hard work,
one has to be very careful with the distortion coming from some people as well.
I really thought after the last election, the persons who were criticizing this administration, they would change some of the tone.
This evening I will be sharing with you the Health Emergency Operating Center.
They're only bent on one thing: distortion and party politics. You can't continue making people believe your country worse off than anybody. If one set of people ain't ruling the country, nothing going on in the country. Why? You don't only have a set to criticize the administration, but you ain't criticizing the party that hasn't reformed itself from the last two elections. You ain't criticizing them.
So my Stray Dog family, one has to be careful. People do not want to accept that the team unity administration has done well in the management of this COVID-19 pandemic. But the records will show that even the CDC has considered St. Kitts and Nevis amongst the group of countries and recommend the low risk, and all travelers should apply what is called a non-pharmaceutical approach by wearing your mask, avoiding your crowds, staying at 6 feet from people who are not traveling with you, sanitization, washing your hands, and watch your health signs for illness. That's the update I want to give, and like I said, it's your night tonight. I'll open the lines and you introduce whatever issue you want to introduce. I haven't done this in a long while, but I'll open the lines anytime now. But I must implore you as usual that I anticipate that you will respect others. And of course, to achieve that, you must first respect yourselves. Let us try to be fair to all concerned. Let us ensure that the things we say and or do will be beneficial to all concerned. And in the process, my Stray Dog family, in saying and or doing, let us also ensure that we will strive to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. The numbers are again 465-2555 and or 718-577-2916. For those who like the cloak of anonymity, we give you access via our email platform, which is zizstraightalk@gmail.com. That's zizstraightalk@gmail.com. With that said, at 25 past the 8 o'clock hour, I go straight to the lines and say, caller, you are live.
Hello. A very pleasant good evening to you, Dr. Patches. How are you doing?
I am peaceful, my brother. Yourself?
You sound so.
Culture?
Yes, I'm peaceful too, brother. Have you had your choke? Have you had your vaccine?
I'm still waiting, my brother.
Eh?
Still waiting.
Okay. I know you're gonna take it, man. You are an obedient child of God, and that is good.
True that.
Yeah, that's right. Patches, I want to say something here about what some people like to hang on. So there are some people in our federation. They like to hang on upon gossips and the wrong information. Just like what happened up there in Europe with Germany, France, and Italy. Just a couple of days ago, they had this big thing up there saying that the vaccine causing blood clot in people. Now today, I understand that they're going to resume giving the vaccine again. So you see, there are people all over the world who use things and spin things and twist things just for political gain. And those who started the spinning that the vaccine giving blood clot, I wonder how they feel to see that the propaganda that they spread out there. It is nothing goes so. Nothing goes so. So I'm glad to hear it on the BBC News today. Now I want to thank the government for really putting on the table today in Parliament all those bills that they put in there today. Especially those money laundering bills. Those bills were long time waiting for people like me and others. Because in St. Kitts, we know there are persons who laundered a lot of money over the years. And you got people here in St. Kitts got money on banks with 7 figures behind it. And like what Honorable Mr. Brandley said today, they ain't win the lottery. And the kind of work they were doing, how they achieve them kind of money there. So I am glad the bill went in the House today, and it was long waiting, like I said, and we got to know who was honest and who did dishonest with the money. So thank God for that. None of them they could fight on that and prevent it from passing. Just like how they went in there and they don't want to vote on the two-term business. Well, they can't stop this one. I'll come back with something else, Patrick. Thank you for taking my call tonight.
Thank you for your input. We go straight back to the lines at 28 past 8 o'clock. Caller, you're live.
Hey, Patrick, how are you this evening, sir?
I'm peaceful, my brother. I haven't heard you for some time.
Yeah, I've been listening in, just making sure everything is, the whole all is well, and you're getting ready for spring. Spring is the best season of the year, so maybe you'll be back here right
It
then.
is?
You gotta come visit, to me, you gotta come visit more often in St. Kitts, You gotta visit more often. I see Sam, he's always I see him a few times, he's dressed every morning like he's ambassador still, so maybe he need that job. You see, Sam is not, he's not inherently a bad person, but he's easily influenced, and this is what has killed Sam. But he's just more ambassadorial than you. I see him a few times, he's really bad. But like I say, he's not an inherently bad person, he's just easily influenced, So maybe he want to take your position of that. Anyhow, you're the best man for anything you do. You are exceptional. You are an exceptional black man. Anyhow, don't forget, Patches, the gentleman is still waiting on you. He wants to know what the court said to Victor Williams. Okay, people like that. People like him. Let me tell you.
My brother, can I interrupt you?
Of course. You just said a word. I'm listening.
I searched the files as you suggested.
ECCourse.org.
An appeal contested by yourself. I'm not too clear what the
Well, let me explain. I'm going to tell you. Well, you know, and if you want anything, like I tell you, just go to her. What you need to get is witness statement. You see the line, the witness statement. Anyhow, the judge throw him out of there. They tell, well, you have to find it. Type in his name. Once you do ECCourse.org, you go and type in Victor Williams, not type in my name. You know my name. I mean,
I did that.
And,
I did that.
And you didn't see nothing? You went, anyhow, look, it's easy. Talk with her. She'll tell you how to get there. You know who I mean. One of the greatest lawyers in Sinkage. Okay? My lawyer, Shani. One of the great, this girl is smart, okay? But we're talking it sometimes. Because you have to do it. Because only what's done for Christ will last, Patrick. Only what's done for Christ will last. And a lot of wickedness went on in this country, okay? And you were the only man who stood up and said wrong is wrong. And this is what has to be. Now another thing. So you get up, well, like I said, ask them for the information. You want to see the witness statement, the line coming out of that boy mouth. Line, right in my face, right in front of the judge. How could this happen? You know? I didn't think it's such lying. I'm looking in America for all the liars. You know? It's a sociopathic behavior. A lot of wickedness went on in thinking. Under the Denzel Douglas Mafia Labour Party. Oh, wickedness. Anyhow, these things wouldn't happen in a white civilized democracy. Anyhow, you'll get it. Just go ask her for it. Anything you want, just ask her, okay? Go to and see what the court said, okay, about him. Anyhow, like I tell you, only what's done for Christ will last, Patrick. And there's any decent person who thinks it's you. Now, another thing about, I wanted to see Harris run 2 terms in the name of democracy. But if Douglas gonna be running, which it seems like, which is a long way away, it's like almost a generation away. 5 years is a long. Then Harris has to run, because Harris is the antidote to Douglas. Harris is. If it wasn't for Harris, I mean, Sinkage would have been another Haiti. So, but like I said, 2 terms and you go. But if Douglas is running, Harris got it. Now you have 2 smart guys up here, Vinci and Mr. Politics. Vinci, you know Vinci, right? Mr. Culture. These 2 guys are very, and they know what they want for it, but they have to lay out what they want for the country. Don't compare with, oh, doctor, don't idolize nobody, not even Dr. Harris or Douglas. Don't idolize people. Say what you want for your country, because they know what they want. They have a very good idea. But don't get killed. Okay? No. I have more to say, but I'm not going to. But you will see what the court say about Victor Williams. Victor Williams from Half Moon Bay, who was the head of the bill. Okay. You see what the court say, okay? So it's not right, like I say, it's in the open square. It's right there now. Nobody could say hide and hide. It's right there. So you're going to get the information. I'll make sure you get the information. Even if I meet you in America, okay? What went on in Sinkage is a lot of wickedness. But anyhow, Patches, all the best to you. Enjoy the springtime. Maybe you like winter. I don't like winter too much, but I sort of got accustomed to it. And we have, like I said, man, you're an exceptional black man. You did so much for Sinkage, so much. But you know what happened? Let the people up there in Newton, let them suffer now. Let them suffer. Don't worry about them, okay? God is in control. You study it, and you can find out what the judge said to Victor Williams. They kick him out to there with his lies. Anyhow, Patches, have a good evening.
Okay.
And God bless you, buddy. Have a good evening.
God bless you as well. Have a good evening as well, my dear brother.
Yeah, good evening, Honorable.
26 before 9, caller, you're live.
Yes, good evening, Honorable. So how is your evening so far?
Good evening, my brother.
Okay. Now, peaceful, let me explain something to you. You know, we had the assembly down here, you know? And this man come in the assembly, still talking about the vaccination money. You know, now, this man was a doctor. He ain't practicing about what? I was about 30 to 35 years. right? Now, he good partner in the country where he got his passport from, send the vaccination thing down here for us as a gift to help out till we get some. The same vaccine what they send down here. He up and down on a radio station saying how water in it and the vaccine ain't no good and all them kind of thing. You know, now I think there he disrespect his partner. You know, he disrespect the honorable spirit, you know, because if he can send down here and learn like he gives some to Antigua and he gives some to St. Kitts and so on until we get ours. And those are the kind of remarks he said about the vaccine what came from Spirit. You know, the fact remains, I think if he know what he's doing, he's bright enough to go on a computer and check out what he wants to check out and see what's going on around the world. You understand me? I know well he in practice for a long time and different things like that. But as a former leader of this country, he should be praising the country and praising the government for what stand the tech and what they has do. As a medical doctor, he should represent these people better and that. But he look like he just there to criticize the government and the doctors and them. You know, so I don't know where we go from here. You understand me? Where we go from here, Patrick, when we, the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, are trying the best to do everything to help the people of St. Kitts and make sure we got good health and good thing and trying to rebuild back the economy in St. Kitts. And here's come, he up and down running off remote. Then you got 3 blind mice on a radio station criticizing everything the government do. And these guys have called themselves the greatest, brightest people in St. Kitts. You understand me? You know, if I suppose they were bright like me, they could then lock up because they're gone over, you know. But when they do things like that, if they think they're doing the unity government and doctor and the prime minister any harm, they're doing themselves. But we're ready and the world see that we're ready. We will be back here soon, sooner than ever. Please continue to do your good work and continue to support the Prime Minister in the best of your ability and your cabinet and your government and do your best for St. Kitts. God bless your brother. Okay.
God bless you as well, my dear brother. As we go straight back to the lines, remember the lines are open. It's 22 before.
Good night, Patrick.
Hearing what's on your mind tonight. Call up your line.
Dumpling. How are you?
Hello. Lady of Manners Dumpling, I am peaceful. Yourself?
Okay, Zion Moravian Church member. How you have come back in to go for one Sunday in the church? Patrick, your daddy gonna bury here? He gonna bury in Barbados. And Mr. Liburd?
His funeral was actually yesterday in Barbados.
Oh. Okay. Patrick, I call you to tell you, you don't take your vaccine? I am waiting till you come home.
I'm still in line. I'm still in line, my dear.
You want to take it up here, I am take it when you come home.
Well, I'll take it here, wherever I get it the fastest.
I will go take mine today, but I just call you next year to come back over tomorrow.
You're scared?
Yeah, because you're not scared, mommy. So, I won't go tomorrow morning.
It's not too hard, I understand.
I won't take it because if I could have taken vaccine when I used to work, always some food, I could take it. Because it's the same company. Because I walk in and telling a lot of lawyers saying all kind of things. And the company selling us a dose for $1. And Johnson selling for $30 for one dose. So better we stay with the company where we just get we insulin and all kind of things from. So I dealing with the people, them no water is nothing. I staying with them. Me not born no Johnson and no this and no Adams and no Sorrow and no name. I staying with the people where we taking it from since in the 50s and thing. I staying with them. And I'm going tomorrow to take my patches. Cool and calm. Patches CEO, I'm going to come back if I have anything else to say. I don't know what happened to Ellen Bauer and all of them. Banging them out on the radio and chatting all kind of things. He going on like he is a doctor. He don't be here himself. I'm going to try to free the pity answer. Patches, I want to see you again. Hurry up from home. This is dumpling.
Look forward to that.
Huh?
You have laughed for me for a long time. If you laugh a couple faster.
Long time me see you, man. Long time me see you all over Glassford, Junior.
Okay.
I thought you never get to the Sooner World to sing for your father. Like a while you used to be up in the choir in the Moravian church. Remember, we used to have to look up and watch her, you know, because I was like on a gallery. Patches, see you when you come home. Love you all the time. This is Dumpling. I like to call me name. My national lady man on the saying Dumpling. Oh, I have a friend on Old Road. Used to knock masquerade drum. He said, I don't call his name on your show. I forget his name, but he used to knock masquerade drum. Big drum in Old Road. Come down to bed tomorrow and tell me what I say. I remember your name, I remember you knock big drum. Patches, see you. Hurry up from home. Thank you to me born in land. I say, come home. See you.
Okay, my dear. That's Lydia.
Good evening.
Dumpling Manners, I love you more. Caller, you're live.
Good evening. I'm just calling in to let Alice know that she must go and take her vaccine. I went today myself. I'm 73, a senior citizen, and it was no pain. It was just like when we was in school. And they were very nice to you, the nurses. Everybody was very nice to us down there. And we had quite a few people, but everything went very, very smooth. I want to say thank you to the government for helping us with this vaccination. I look forward to the second vaccination in May. And Patches, all my sympathy again for you. And you keep calm and know that your dad is rested in eternal peace now. And take care. I love you plenty. Bye-bye.
Thank you. I love you more. Love you more, my dear. At 17 before 9 o'clock.
Are you ready?
Just join us.
Are you ready? Good night.
You'll say tonight. Whatever you want to raise, the forum is open. Call you live.
You hear me? You hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Yes, I hear the Prime Minister said the houses them soon get out. You're coming home to get them out. You're supposed to get them out. You work hard on them. But as your good friend talk about your opponent, maybe she want him to get them out, that she could get one. My foot hurt me, I can't step too long. You hear them noise in my phone, like what culture does talk about? Me height too. Good night.
Good night. Sounds like Alice in Wonderland. Of course, I'll be home to distribute those houses. Why not? It was my idea to eliminate the slums on West Street and Wellington Road and throughout East Bastia. So yes, I will be there. Call you live.
Hello, good night.
Good night.
Yes, sorry about that. Good night. Get me off guard just now. Patches, you there?
So, yes, I'm here.
All right. Okay, Patches, yeah. Now, Patches, everybody know where this unity went through to get into government. Everybody see what was going on in this country before the 15th of February. Patches. And we got to go to England, to the Privy Council, to get justice. And now this unity government has taken the mantle of win the government and continue to lead this country successfully. The naysayers them out there saying all kind of thing, Patches. But we wouldn't bow and we wouldn't turn back and we won't study the ignorance because they're in the minority. And our opposition will always criticize and talk. But I believe under this COVID-19 pandemic, the situation now when we hear what's going on out there in the outer world, in them different countries, I say, well, God bless Sinkit, and Sinkit is a real God bless country. We always say that. And really God bless. So, don't mind them. They're part of the country, regardless to what they criticize. Because only so the government will open up the eye and get the understanding that somebody out there opposing them, and they will try to do things better. So, let them talk what they want to talk, because they're in the minority again. Patches, we got to do what we got to do to keep this unity in order and keep this unity focused, regardless to what people going to say. In my life of politics in this country, and going up to me 60 years now, soon 60. When I see Patches what's going on in this country under this unity government, never see it under never see it under no other administration yet. So we got to give God thanks. And for a leader like Dr. Harris, the Deputy Minister Sean Richard, General Mark Brantley, all of those come together and make unity way be now and make this country way be. So Patches, those who talking again, they're in the minority talking, because this unity has done so much for this federation of Sinkit and Nevis. And I want to say good night to my good friend in New York. My good friend, good night. I hope you're calling tonight. And if you're calling tonight, I'm going to strengthen you. For Mali, you know. But it's so wonderful. May God bless you and keep you. And God bless the federation of Sinkit Nevis.
Have a wonderful night as well. At 12 before 9, we go straight back to the lines. Call you live.
Patches, good night.
Good night, my brother, Jam Down.
How are you? Boy, we had Richards batting today, and boy, he played some stroke. You know, he like move away from the 3 stumps and cut it off the half stump for 4, you know, and sometimes 6. Patches, I want to congratulate the Prime Minister and the Honorable Attorney General for a job well done, because money laundering is a very serious thing in the Caribbean, and in Sinkit, I really like the fellow from number 6 to just hush him out, you know, and let the girl talk, because anytime he talk, he put himself in a lot of problems. Now listen here today. An important bill, like the money laundering bill, the terrorist bill, I mean, the man, you know, when he was carrying Sinkits with these illicit people, you know. Boy, Timothy is a hell of a Prime Minister. But the people will make that 3-term decision. Him going to talk, as he don't carry it to Parliament, the people will make that 3-term decision. He don't give
He don't tell us he want to, and he will gotta come back to us. And we will make sure we call when the time is right, if he want to do it. That is, when I hear Josie outline, and the Honorable Mark Brantley, you must play this clipping, you know, because the country look like they're listening. It look like they're in the COVID slum. They're listening. That was one of the best House of Assembly for a long time. Until the fellow gets up and start to talk nonsense. I mean, we was all over these illicit people. They was all over since in 2015, 2014, 2013. Is the end? Oh my God! Is God, you know? Is God is who pulls things out of this at the right time? So I just want to give kudos to the cabinet, Mark Brantley, the Prime Minister, and Josie, to walk in the bill through Parliament today, because at least the system have teeth. And I like what Josie do, you know. I like when the craftsman do, clear everything to the court. And they're fighting, you know, because he know somewhere along the line there, they're going to get involved. There's lots of money where used to come from Catolo in First Caribbean Bank, in our kind of private people name. God bless Timothy, yeah? God bless Timothy. And that's where we want we leaders to be doing, to be strong and doing the people's work. Have a good night, Patches. I will be back. I'm coming for like Malcolm Marshall the next round.
Thanks a lot, my brother. Let's go straight back the lines at 9 before 9 o'clock. Call you live.
Yes. Good evening, Honorable Patches. I'm still waiting, but I want two other room apartment where you all got a Wellington Road. And don't tell me that I can't get none. It's for foreigner. All the government do for foreigner. And you sympathy, I hear you say your father laid out to it. Where's up now?
You want to move from Boyd's?
What here? I got to do business. I'm getting old. Not moving from Boyd's.
You want to come close to me?
Close to you? Man, don't probably be. Yeah. I hear you get married up there in America with a young girl.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Have a good night, my dear.
Yes, I'm waiting on the thing then, I want to fix out them to warm up the I want them to this front and down the bottom. Come here, oh no, me can't go up the step. See you.
Okay, darling. Have yourself a wonderful night, my dear. That's my good Labour friend from down west. And in the event of just join us, our lines are open. We did give you an update, a COVID update, so to speak, for those who are seeking clarification whether you would need to be quarantined if you have had a vaccine before coming to St. Kitts. Yes, you will still go into quarantine. Let's go back to the lines. Call your live.
Yes, Patches. Patches, don't worry with them three blind mice, you know. Don't worry with them. Because they want to mash up something that is good, something that is working 100%, which is how the Prime Minister and his cabinet running this country here. We all are humans, and if they make a mistake in the language or the grammar, they could correct it, and they would make the mistake because they don't know. But when people talking sometimes the word, the correct pronunciation of a word, it comes out in the wrong way. But let me tell you something, over with them, the Patches, the grudge you is God put this Prime Minister here and Team Unity where they are, otherwise today, you know where we would have been? So when they're going up on the sugar money radio, go criticize the government. Kuno Mono, Benson and Hedges cigarette begging, and Dr. Zip Up, and Cockroach Farm below, you know about witching. No study them there. A grudge, and they're going to stay where they be, and they're going down further down to the ground. Further down to the ground. Like Jam Dong say, that is the best parliamentarian we had since the government in, because what? My man in there, he realized by the man reaching from me now, I can't duck and bubble, we even gonna wait. So all them places around the world where I land the money. Because when I reach back to my country, I was poor like Papa Mineka broke. And in a matter of minutes, you get them load of big building, big house all over the place. And you couldn't even buy a good car when you reach back from where you come from. And now you're going in there, go stand up in Parliament trying to make disturbance. The Prime Minister is what you call Wesley Hall and Griffith and Vivian Richard and Lara and them man, they are sobers. The Prime Minister got the answer for them. For he, if he think he bad and he could overtalk the Speaker when the Speaker stand up. He can't overtalk the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister handle in his hand. And Juicy, brother, you and brother Mark Brantley, you were like lightning with sparks flying in the thank God for it. Because Patches, if that rude man, if he was in leadership still in this country here, I said already and I said again, all we will let the luck when Hagfoot go down the back catch Pratt and he throat in it, he kill a lot one time. Because this corona will don't sweep up our little Tupensi population. Because when people were dying instantly, pow, you ain't got to sick. When you get power, you ain't have to sick. And he was asked, what are you going to do about this crime here? Because he was 30-something in 2000, I think it was 2011. And his response was, I'm not taking no responsibility for crime. I did not send anybody to kill anybody. Crime will happen like water running off a duck back. I'm not taking the responsibility. If he ain't going to take no responsibility for that, what he would do with corona, who going to give you a couple days sickness a week and then you're dead? He will turn it back on that, because if he fighting down the vaccine from his friend in Dominica and going to disrespect the man and talk about his water, we get here to give people. Come on, man. Come on, you was a doctor. Many people, many youngsters get killed down in the country in St. Paul's with gun, and they lock up innocent people. So that alone should show he as a leader that he should take great responsibility and do something about it. They come talking about the government to spend money to stop crime. Whatsoever it take, okay. There is nothing, whatsoever it take, there is nothing on this earth here could pay for a human life. 43 million over Southeast Peninsula can't pay for a human life. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's now 3 before 9 o'clock. The critics of Team Unity's mantra is they want good governance. Well, they are so blind that they do not realize we have transcended good and better governance, that we now luxuriate in the best governance the Federation has ever witnessed. Thanks to our Prime Minister for a job well done. It's 2 before 9 o'clock as we are entertaining an open forum tonight. We haven't done that in a long time, but I just wanted to get the pulse of the nation from you, our many listeners. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller. Are you there, caller? Okay, here's that. Let's take this other email then. In the meantime, Dr. Daly, I voted for the NRP in the federal election, reads this email. And what I saw and heard with regards to the land at Catesby, there is no way you nor NRP could get my vote again, and the new leader better get rid of you and all those old guards out and away from the party. NRP will never rise again. You cannot appropriate government land unto yourself just like that. Shame on your man, reads this email. This other email reads, Patches, Ira keeps calling in to talk shows and making a fool of himself. Last week, Mark told him that the show is on the mark, but he was off the mark. He also told him that if he told the vaccine, he would talk more sense. If he took the vaccine, he should talk more sense. On Tuesday evening, he called into the Weber show, saying the government should have waited until there was an outbreak to start administering the vaccine. The host had to ask him if he should wait until something got rotten to fix it. This man is so bent on criticizing the government that he keeps making a very big fool of himself, reads this other email. This email reads, the leader of the opposition continues unabated in Parliament to embarrass his party and himself. Stand up to him, Mr. Prime Minister. Never waver or innovate. Anytime he step out of line, fix him as you did today. By now he ought to know that you are not afraid of his loud voice, gimmicks, and grandiloquent language. That's the word, grandiloquent language, calculated only to impress some of his pitiable supporters. You are doing a good job, Mr. PM. Continue. Reads this email. Let's get rid of these emails. The other email reads, I traveled on the Old Road Bay last Sunday with some friends who recently came out of quarantine, and they were amazed to observe the transformation and development of the area. They all remarked, boy, this project alone deserved the government 2 more successive terms. I couldn't agree more with them. Big up, Team Unity, reads this email. It's now 1 minute past the 9 o'clock hour, and if you're just joining us, we actually have opened the forum tonight, but we also gave you an update, and just for the COVID, just in case you missed it, we had one additional case yesterday in St. Kitts, as intimated by Dr. Marissa Carty, who gave us this information. Let's try to find that information. Yes, we have had one additional case as intimated, and we're now up to 44 confirmed cases. I think 42 have recovered. We also got the news that some 8 Americans were taken before the court for their COVID breach, and this is what happened, my Straight Talk family.
The 8 U.S. nationals were arrested and formally charged for breaching their quarantine condition, and were this morning taken before the Charlestown Magistrate Court via a virtual hearing to answer the charges. They pled guilty and were each convicted and fined $4,000 to be paid forthwith or serve 6 months in prison. They remained at the quarantine facility at Potworks while arrangement for payment of the fines is made, after which they will be allowed to leave the Federation. Their COVID-19 tests so far have returned negative results.
Yes, charge and fine $4,000 forthwith. Let's go back to the lines at 9:08. Call your live.
Good night, Professor Ian Patrick Liburd. Humble servant, how are you doing?
I am peaceful, champion boxer.
Patrick.
Best jabbers.
Patrick, when I listen.
Yes, Mr. Hunks.
Hello. Hello. You hear me?
Yes, Hunks, go ahead. Yes.
When I listen to National Assembly today, Patrick, I am going to get about. That made me feel like when I was in the 80s. I said, boy, like the Prime Minister, he is super heavyweight. And he was punching. That is, I don't know why Labour don't tell Douglas. Sit down. Sit down. Because he ain't making no sense. He's just making it worse. I want Patrick, if it's true that people turn in the grave, people like the late Limo, Robert Llewellyn Ambassador, they're standing up. They ain't turning. They're standing up. See what the Labour Party come to. See what the Labour Party come to. That's the Labour done. Labour finished. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you very much, champion from Connery, from Newtown to exact, now exiled in Connery, Hanks. And yes, my straight dog family, as I intimated earlier, that the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, that's the US CDC, gave recommendations as it relates to the level of risk in countries around the world. Level 4 indicated that countries were at a very high risk. Level 3 or level 4, take that back, indicated that countries were at a very high risk, and number 3, a high risk. Number 2, level 2, moderate, and level 1, low. And we will be happy to learn that St. Kitts and Nevis are in number 1, or level 1, I should say. And it is recommended that all travelers should apply the non-pharmaceutical modalities, I think that's called, where you should just wear a mask, avoid the crowds, you physically distance at 6 feet, and you wash your hands and use hand sanitizer. Of course, make your observations, watch for your own health for signs of illness. Other countries listed in level 1 are Anguilla, the British Virgin Islands, Grenada, as well for those in the Caribbean region. There is level 4, as I said. Countries listed are countries such as Jamaica, Barbados, Antigua Barbuda, Guyana, Cuba, Curacao, and countries like Honduras and Haiti. Also in that level, it's Canada. And that category, the CDC is recommending that travelers should avoid all travel to these destinations at level 4, which is very high risk countries. Number 3, it is recommended that travelers should avoid all non-essential travel to destinations like the Bahamas, Montserrat, the Philippines, Rwanda, and other countries listed as well. Travel on level 2, travelers are at increased risk for severe illness from COVID, and it is recommended that they should avoid all non-essential travels to destinations such as Dominica, Bermuda, Trinidad and Tobago, and those are in the Caribbean region. And of course, level 2 is a much lower level. That's level 2 is a moderate, I should say, and the CDC recommends that travelers are at increased risk for severe illness from COVID and should avoid all non-essential travel to destinations such as I mentioned before, Bermuda, Dominica, Trinidad and Tobago, Mongolia, Sierra Leone, the Falkland Islands, Hong Kong, India, Uganda, and other islands are listed as well. So we are doing quite well, and according to the medical chief of staff, our vaccination education is being rolled out and is doing well. Oh my gosh. Okay, I seem to have missed that soundbite there. But let's go back to the lines. My straight talk. Family, you're live.
I am answering the question that you asked. What do we think about the penalty that was laid down to those 8 persons over in Nevis who come here and break the protocol and break our law? Well, I want to say this to anybody who's thinking to come here. Leave your law-breaking, nasty, dirty habit where you come from and come here clean. Because we haven't cleaned our ground for you to bring your monkey-breaking law self here and disrespect us and kill us with your business. But Patches, $4,000, that is not enough for the kind of penalty, for the kind of a crime that they committed. $4,000, that ain't even enough to buy a toe to replace on somebody's foot. Never mind to pay for somebody's life. That should have been higher, because if it was a local, hear me, the penalty there will have been up in the thousands. And not because they're from here. I don't care where you come from. Respect us. Otherwise, don't come here. We ain't in that with you. We could live without all you. They know well the country doing well, controlling the virus, and everybody they don't want to come and mash it up. How no Canadians come in here, come do them foolishness? Well, I'm saying to the people them who have authority to send down judgment, bring down the heaviest hammer upon anybody coming here and disrespect us. Thank you. That's my 2 turn and a half. Have a good night.
Thank you very much. Well, just for clarification, I didn't have much of an issue with the level of the fine, but the issue I have is that, you have people in the bar. I think it's some 40 people who had to be quarantined for 2 weeks, and because of this irresponsible behavior, one has to be quarantined. I mean, I've gone to a bar innocently to have a nice quiet drink or hang with some friends, and then I have to be locked away for 2 weeks, and I can't recover any damages whatsoever. And something seems to be missing here, and it's because I can't resist being quarantined. I myself would be fine. So why should I just be locked away like nothing because some irresponsible behavior of someone? That's the point I was making, really. Good evening, Patches. I think our culture is a bit off with his reporting. The use of the vaccine was actually suspended because a very small number of people had developed blood clots, resulting in an investigation. It was not propaganda. However, so far, investigations have not found, anything as yet to tie the blood clotting. So the use of the vaccines has been resumed. More reports, the vaccine is very safe. Reads this email. This other email, reads, by the way, Jamaica had its first installment of vaccines from COVAX, or that should be to the COVAX facility, my straight dog family. And again, if you just join us, we have an open line, and we go straight back to the lines at 13 after 9. The caller, you're live.
Mr. Ian Patches Liburd, greetings to you, my brother.
Greetings, my dear brother. How about thou?
I'm very, very, very good. What about you?
I am peaceful, my brother.
Stay that way. Continue staying that way. Welcome for the open line. Very cool night to have an open line. Ian Patches Liburd. The House of Assembly, I didn't get the full gist of it today. But for what I saw, with a point of order coming from the Prime Minister concerning some wording coming from the opposition leader. I say one thing, Mr. Patches. A good teacher will love to see their students strive. And the former Prime Minister cannot say that this country is going on the same path of how the governance was on his rule. So at least he should say, man, listen, let me give Team Unity a correct. Because the same country, he is the only prime minister. We had 3 prime ministers since our independence. And he, under his watch, he's the only one take the country under IMF program. So within all those realities, if many of us who say we love our country and we talk about democracy, we must put ourselves and ask ourselves what type of democracy we want for the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Whether we want an evolving democracy or we want a rotating democracy. You know, we got to ask ourselves those questions. And we got to be mindful of what we asking ourselves, because we got to fear ourselves. The reality of life is there before all of us. And if we say we are Christian minded, we always have to stand for what is right. You know, and when I listen committee stage during Parliament, and when I hear the Premier of Nevis intervention in certain issues, I said, Cabinet, when Cabinet meets, they really does have some serious reasoning, and there's where you get good governance to balance out the country. I also just say, I'm glad the PLP has 2 seats, because the Prime Minister power, we always say the Prime Minister has a lot of power, whoever the Prime Minister is. But the Prime Minister, in my opinion, only could carry that power concerning the seats that he has. And the present Prime Minister, he only has 2 seats. So, and the other parties has more seats than him. And even though they has more seats than him, he balanced out the government. And it's good to have a government like that. We don't want more party politics, not more party governance governing the country. The people say they want a unity administration, so it's always best for those who are there to find ways and means to walk through a unity process, because unity is the way God wants us to live, so mankind must find a way to develop themselves through unity. And the government is doing a good job with all the criticism, because, as I said before, we say Bradshaw is our first national hero. Bradshaw is an ordinary man. He went no university. And so he shows this country belongs to ordinary people. And if you look around the country, the majority of people in this country, families, is ordinary people. The only ordinary people get children, 8 and 9 and all them things. Man who got money again, 8 and 9 and 10 children. So the ordinary people now have to look always at the political leader who want to do things in their interest, not from a partyism, party ideology. Is to develop your interest, because life is about liberation. Mr. Patches, you continue to be good and you continue to stay strong. Stay healthy.
Thank you very much. The caller always have some sound interventions, you know, and you're so correct, you know, and it's sometimes, you know, and it's hard to understand. Let me put it this way, right? Why people would want your own country in which you live to go down. The fact that the country is and its leadership is successful and keeping us safe is something to be lauded. Even the medical chief of staff gave us some advice, but before we get to that advice, we go back to the lines. Caller, or rather the medical chief of staff did give us this advice, and we ought to take heed.
My final advice Despite all the hard work that we have done in containing the virus here, everything can be lost by a few irresponsible persons. We must all work together to keep our country safe. We must not hesitate and get vaccinated as soon as we can. The vaccine is guaranteed to protect you. It can prevent you from getting sick, from getting severe disease, from being hospitalized, and more importantly, from dying.
A few irresponsible people amongst us wants everything to be lost. They don't want us to be in the top 8 countries in the world that are listed as COVID-free. They don't want us to be listed as a country with low risk. They don't want us to be listed as a country that has no community spread. And most of all, they hate to hear that there are no deaths in this country. And you wonder why. You wonder why. Let's go back to the line, Ms. Caller. It's 20 past 9, you're live.
I agree with the last caller, but the ministers, them don't listen to people. Anyway, Dr. Wilkerson was on the Prime Minister program. I asked him if anybody in a business place or function, if each person who get the vaccination, they will know or not. It doesn't matter. He did not answer. Anyway, Mr. Liburd, who get your job, I hope they give who you had to give the houses. Never mind, they set you up. They're sorry and that they wanted. And who works with me is the business. Just so you be. Thank you.
Always sounds like Alice in Wonderland. Yes. And I understand. You understand as well. Saying hello to my Facebook massive. But let's go back to the lines at 9:21. Calling you live.
Yes, good evening, Patches, and everyone Patches again. Looking at Fairview Hill, right? I see the number one, Tamanako. His family building a big apartment up here by me up Fairview. So when I go to the bank never lend me the money, but the bank gonna lend the money, and the whole family them got everything what they want. So when people talking about Honorable Douglas, where he got, he won. And where them they got, them won. So nobody wash out them upon him and talking about him, because the Prime Minister went in there with Honorable Noel Douglas. And in the Parliament, they bang them out as much as they want to say. Because India, they're supposed to bang them out, not on the road. To disrespect themselves. But India is the house to assemble, to bang them out, say all what they want, but no bad word. And you have a good night. See you.
Have a good night, my dear. And in the event you have just joined us, we are facilitating an open forum tonight. Whatever on your mind, whichever issue you wish to raise, that's your liberty. We just ask you to ensure that we try to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. With that said, at 23 past 9, I go straight back to the lines. Call you live.
Good evening, Mr. Liburd. How are you, sir?
I am peaceful, my brother. Yourself?
Well, I might as well be peaceful as well. Anyhow, I'm listening to the soundbite from Superintendent Henry. I'm a bit confused as to whether that $4,000, was it $4,000 a piece, or was it $500 each for the 8 persons? Can you clear that up for me, please? I'm listening.
Well, I believe the first case, I think, in St. Kitts was of $5,000. So I would believe that precedent has been set. So I'm only speculating. It's my understanding would be $4,000 each person. Are you there, caller? Okay, let's take this other call. Call you live.
Come together, let's give unity a chance. Together we will shake off our shackles And forget about the haters them in the country who don't like their country and try to criticize every day. Unity is strength. We got to come together and work as one. Do not study them. See the young people them getting help. If violence and crime is all over. The young man them used to shoot down one another under the farm administration. Now unity bring them together as one. Look around, people. Look around. See what unity has done for the Federation of St. Kitts Nevis. Look under the COVID-19 situation. The doctors them has done so well. The community spread in happening. That is what people like Mr. Sharpman want, who happen in this country to come on different radio station and criticize. But it cannot happen. Because you got to look with cockroach farm. Patches. Unity is strength. And we got to work as one. Black people in this country. Whether from Jamaica, Trinidad, Barbados, can't Peter Tosh, as long as you're a black man, you're an African. And we got to work as Caribbean people. Whether we go Barbados walk, we in Trinidad we walk, we got to work as one. Because we got free movement now. And only so that we could come and work as one people if we put down the bitter politics, especially under this COVID-19 situation. If you love your country, say good. This ain't no time to politicize nothing. This ain't time for that. This is time for people who get together as one. Let me pray that this COVID could open up. Because when you're going tongue, you people say politics, me not work nowhere. Things hard, you know, this hard, that hard. I said, listen to me. Other countries out there got it harder than us. Let us continue to pray. You understand? This is our country and we got to look after one. Each one help one. Patches, each one help one. A lot of family members here, some of them working, some men working. But what? We got to look out for one another until this COVID over. Patches, anyway, you have a wonderful night again. Good night, Casilla. Say your peace.
Yes, good night, my brother. And just for clarification of that caller, just before our last caller, this is what Superintendent Henry had to say.
The 8 U.S. nationals were arrested and formally charged for breaching their quarantine condition and were this morning taken before the Charlestown Magistrate Court via a virtual hearing to answer the charges. They pled guilty and were each convicted and fined $4,000 to be paid forthwith or serve 6 months in prison. They remained at the quarantine facility at Potworks while arrangement for payment of the fines is made, after which they will be allowed to leave the Federation. Their COVID-19 tests so far have returned negative results.
Well, each were convicted and fined, and that seemed to be very clear. Each were convicted and fined $4,000 each, and each, if they don't pay, would be sentenced to 6 months in prison. Is there a call on the line? Yes. Okay, so each, that clarifies the question. I'll play that one more time. This is what the superintendent had to say.
The 8 U.S. nationals were arrested and formally charged for breaching their quarantine condition and were this morning taken before the Charlestown Magistrate Court via a virtual hearing to answer the charges. They pled guilty and were each convicted and fined $4,000 to be paid forthwith or serve 6 months in prison. They remained at the quarantine facility at Potworks while arrangement for payment of the fines is made, after which they will be allowed to leave the Federation. Their COVID-19 tests so far have returned negative results.
Well, as I said, clear as crystal, each were convicted and fined. So yes, my Straight Dog family, Again, if you've just joined us, it's 9:29. We open the lines tonight, and you can make your own contribution. You can raise your own issue. That's the luxury of tonight. And yes, we gave you an update on the COVID-19 situation in St. Kitts, and just yesterday at the National Emergency Operations Committee update, Dr. Risakati advised the country of the current disposition as it relates to COVID-19.
This evening I will be sharing with you the Health Emergency Operating Center COVID-19 Situation Report for March 17th. The Ministry of Health would like to bring to your attention this evening that we have one additional confirmed case of COVID-19 within the Federation. This brings our total of confirmed cases to 44, with 30 cases in St. Kitts, 14 cases in Nevis.
And that's the current disposition. As you go back to the lines, caller, thank you for holding.
Yeah, good evening, Patches. Now,
good evening,
that $4,000, what they charge, I don't think it was fair. You know, because they tried two before. One was from Jamaica and one was from one of the other countries. And they charged them $5,000 each for it. Now, these people, after them come out, disrespect the country and the rule of the laws of the country, and maybe because they are different color, they was charged $4,000 and going to be able to leave the country after disrespecting it. The other day in Turks and Cayman, a girl came there to see her boyfriend in a boat race, and she had to pay the full fine. I think was $14,000, and also was sent to jail. You know, now, if you're going to skip up these things by charging some less and less and less, people are going to disrespect the law here all the time. What is good for one is good for all. You know, this time a girl from Jamaica could pay $5,000 and one from the States can pay $4,000. You know, and then all you go respect people can respect the place. You know, now, what culture was trying to tell you, and what you said too, these people should be paying for those people who now can't go to work, who got the family to support, and the bank closed down and all of that. How they going to get money now? That's another burden on us. So they know they wasn't counting and they come to this place. They should have paid for everybody inside there. You understand me? You can't go to a wall and say, well, look, this is one for this one and the one for the one. You know, we is an epidemic or what you want to call it. That man free to lose the life. And the Prime Minister then step out of the way, try to help the best they could. You understand me? To make sure that people in St. Kitts survive. It was like the careless Prime Minister we had. He's so glad if everybody dead. You know? So that is what I support. And continue all you, God bless all you, and continue to do the best all you could.
Thank you very much, King Rockefeller. And yes, it has to be some form of iniquity, right? Not unfairness, I should say. And we can't really make judgment on the level of fines, because there are different courts, and in other cases a different jurisdiction. So we don't know what the laws are in the Turks and Caicos Island, I think you mentioned. But in Nevis and in St. Kitts, there are two different magistrates, and their own way of arbitration, right? And we don't know what pleas went before the magistrate, but $1,000 less, neither here nor there. But I understand what you're saying. But really, for someone to transgress the law, and I have to suffer, something is wrong with that. If I can recover some sort of damages. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Yeah, Patches, I believe in rocking up. You gotta be straight across the board with these charges in the. You can't charge the Jamaican 5 and American pay 4. Come on, it's the same law, it's the same crime. Because when American people doing forces, it's very dangerous, you know. We could have get a ignite, just a little ignite with the COVID and cause us problem. That is a serious breach, you know. So he makes some point. But why really want to say Patrick Young and a soundbite in what went on in the parliament today? Because the member from 9, he really tried the cards on the table and juicy and the Prime Minister, you know. Because if it's one thing I'm glad for, is to give the justice system, especially with this white collar crime and money laundering, some key like them monkey in the wild. Give them sharp teeth. When you hold a monkey in the mountain in a flash, you rip away your hand. And that's where the law of one. And that's why the member from 6 behaves so, because he see where the government going. We're closing up shop. These things also happened since in 2014, 2013, 2012. And the guy was dragging his foot with these things. You know? But the government need to listen to us too. I can't to Alice. They have to listen. But they're listening. But I'm glad today to see where they're carrying it and where they're going in it. It ain't them, you know. It ain't them. It's the security of the country. They got to put these things in place because what's going on in the country around here think it's Nevis. People coming and taking advantage. And it's very serious, Patrick. But anyway, God bless Timothy. They're doing what they got to do. And they're protecting we and the country blacklisting. Because if these people they get away in 2015 with the nonsense, the illicit serves them all also with the blacklisted and the illicit serves them with the all over. Have a good night, Patrick.
Have a good night as well. We go straight back to the lines at 9:37. Call your line.
Yes, Patrick, it's me call back. The voting done. So government don't care nothing about nobody. Because the voting done. But when the voting will carry us, they care. So they don't care. All the government will be the same. Have a good night. See you.
Thank you very much. I wonder how you get it in so fast on the program, and some people just can't get in at all. But my good friend from down west always good to hear you. My straight dog family, we seem to have a mix here. Yeah, my straight dog family. Yes. And are you there? I've seemed to have lost some. But yes, if you just join us again, we really have
you something. Every Monday and Thursday night from 8 until 10 p.m. on ZIZ Radio Power 96.1, tune in for Straight Talk.
Your job is to serve the people, not to get in the back and forth that sometimes as humans, people can say things about you and you believe there's a limit. But the one who wears the armor and carries the name of God, let him fight your battle.
It's a program where you can share your views.
Well, I don't usually call into the radio station, but I had to call in. I was in the Federation over the weekend and I was quite impressed. Flew over Port Dante and I see the development happening there. I drive up in the east in your area for years and years and years. That area has been neglected. Those houses there on the other side of Mr. Byron gas station was. See y'all getting ready to do something about it.
Ask your questions.
What Douglas want to do? Be a Satan and judging sin.
And speak your mind.
Good evening to you, Patches. And good evening to your listeners home and abroad. One good term deserves another. And like I said, one good term deserves another.
Tune in every Monday and Thursday night from 8 until 10 p.m. right here on ZIZ Radio with your host, Ian Patches Liburd for Straight Talk. Hey, it's that time again for the morning drive right here on ZIZ 96.1 where keeping you company at work, on your way to work, and those of you on vacation with today's biggest hits. It's the At Work Network right here on ZIZ Radio from 6 to 11. Oh.
6 decades of togetherness in radio. ZIZ, the cornerstone and foundation of broadcasting.
The golden voice of the nation celebrates 60 years of service to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis.
ZIZ Radio sustaining its long legacy of service in the local, regional and global media industry. ZIZ Radio, communicator, educator and entertainer for 60 years.
Building on our legacy, ZIZ at 60.
Every Saturday from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. ZIZ Radio goes into overdrive with the Magic Fingers Ronnie Rascal Mega Mix Show. You heard? Up your dial to 96.1 FM. It's the show that brings the vibes to your Saturday afternoon lime, bar hopping, party hangouts, or just driving around. You don't want to miss the Saturday Mega Mix Show. You don't want to miss the Saturday Mega Mix Show. It's old school and new school remixes by yours truly, Magic Fingers, Ronnie Rascal, every Saturday from 4 p.m.
Sort these matters out and to have you raise your issues as well, my Straight Talk family. But it's, as I said, 17 before the 10 o'clock hour, and we were in fact discussing the open issues, my Straight Talk family, as it relates to the COVID update, within the fact, apprise you of the fact that in St. Kitts and Nevis we have been listed as a low-risk country by the Center for Disease Control in the United States, and low risk being at level 1 suggests that there are no travel restrictions except you must take the non-pharmaceutical approach, and that is to wear your mask, stay at least 6 feet, maintain that physical distance from people who are not traveling with you, wash your hands or use hand sanitizer, and watch your health for signs of illness. And the CDC also ranked several Caribbean countries and many other countries at level 4, which is very high risk, and recommended that travelers should avoid all travel to these destinations. Destinations like Afghanistan, Angola, Aruba, Antigua, Barbados, also Canada, Guyana, Haiti, Honduras, Jamaica, Curacao, Cuba, Puerto Rico, and many other countries. Almost 30 or 40 countries are in that very high risk and are at level 4. At level 3, there are just about 18 or 20 countries, and they are at high risk, as it is suggested here. That's the Bahamas, Gambia, Cameroon, Burundi, Japan, Montserrat, and it is recommended by the CDC that travelers should avoid all non-essential travel to these destinations. And at a moderate level, COVID-19 moderate, that's level 2, which as per recommendation by the CDC, travelers are at increased risk for severe illness from COVID and should avoid all non-essential travel to countries like Bermuda, Dominica, the Equatorial Guinea, Hong Kong, India, Trinidad and Tobago, Singapore, and South Africa, just to name a few. And as I said, countries like St. Kitts and Nevis are coming in at number 1, level 1, and there's no recommendation of not to travel, I should say, to countries here in St. Kitts and Nevis. But my straight up family, I'll go straight back to the lines and caller, you're live.
Yes, good night and good night, Honorable Ian Patrick Liburd.
Good night, my brother. How about thou?
Can't complain. I just give him thanks and thank the Lord for the government and thank the Lord for having us around under the system that we call unity. I just want to commend the government for one thing, because at the same time, we're living under the pandemic and the government is very proactive in terms of dealing with it. And one of the things that I see the government doing right now, 1 year into this pandemic, is trying to revise and amend the laws in terms of the pandemic and the COVID-19. And I have to give them a good 95-100% in terms of making sure that the part there is adjusted and not waiting for the CDC or the World Health Organization to deal with it. Meaning that, as you can see, what happened in Nevis, we didn't have that a year ago. Now we have it a year later. At least we could say that the government is moving in a way to change the laws that was implemented in 2020. And I really want to commend the government, honestly speaking, because I don't think what happened in Nevis will happen again. They're not going to let up to people and anybody else to come and to jeopardize the security forces, citizens, business people, and the residents here, and get rid of it. So, if that is the situation, we're going to have to send the message. I think the government is moving in the right way, because I think in the parliament to try to do the same act and our amendment, but just the same situation here. And I think it's very much timely in dealing with it, because last year's act did not get that situation here, where you could cover a broad amount of situations where we're just tonight on the program, whether it is business owners, or people who are on the quarantine, or people who are around, spectators, name it, who are supposed to be protected. People are supposed to be protected under the same legislation based on the COVID-19. Not just the government being protecting people, but other individuals, businesses supposed to be protected from that situation where people could exit quarantine and go to their business, or go to the establishment, or go wherever they want to go, and then they have no responsibility in terms of covering the damage done. Thank you, sir, and enjoy listening to the program. Have a good night.
Have a good night as well, my dear brother. As we wind down, it's 10 minutes before the 10 o'clock hour. We go straight back to the lines. Caller, you're live.
You see how the Jamaicans pay 5,000 and them they pay 4? The law shouldn't make them compensate all those innocent people who was in the bar. So they get away with murder. And they go laugh and say what they do. When they go back, they're going to go back and say, well, we went down there and we do this and we do that, man. That's cool, man. They ain't do me nothing. Anyway, good night.
Yes, good night, my dear brother. I don't think it's a question of whether Jamaican or American and a particular charge, you know. There's no one can dictate to the court what to charge. The court is the court. The court is a separate, independent of the executive and of the parliament. Parliament can only make the laws, but the parliament can dictate to the court what to charge, and it is left to the judgment of the magistrate or judge or whoever is arbitrating the case to come to a decision in terms of the severity of the punishment, or whatever the level of the punishment, I should say. That's my humble view. But it's 9 before the 10 o'clock hour. As we wind down tonight's program, in my Straight Talk family, we've had a discussion tonight, and you raise your issues, and issues raised related to the Parliament today. I didn't have the luxury of listening to the Parliament today because I went to the other Parliament at the United Nations. That's a Parliament in itself as well, one of the world's largest parliaments, the United Nations Assembly I should say. And there's a special meeting on a rather high-level meeting on water, as something we will discuss as well come Monday, because Monday is World Water Day. We will have a discussion on the water itself. As I said, there was this high-level meeting on water at the UN Assembly, which we will discuss. Some of it we'll discuss on Monday, God's willing. But as we wind down tonight's programming at 8 before the 10 o'clock hour, I'll take a few more calls and I'll go straight back to the lines. Caller, you're live.
Yeah, Patrick, I think you're kind of wrong there, you know. If the government set the law that every one of them break the COVID rule should pay 5,000, the church can't charge you.
The government can't tell a court what to charge. That's the point.
So why the government make the law then? Why the government make the law? I'm waiting for the answer. Why the government make the law? So,
in terms of finding whether prison or what have you, the government can say, you send this, make some...
No, we're not talking individually. The government makes the law saying, look, you're going to charge $500, $5,000 at 6 months in prison. I agree that the lawyer could beg for you. But don't tell me that the government can't tell the judge what to charge. But the lawyer could beg for you, and the prosecutor could say, well, I accept the 4,000 and what it is. But if the cabinet and so on and the government set the law, that's the law. And don't say it's because...
set the level of the fine in the law.
Yeah. Yeah, but the whole trouble about it, then you move on to say, well, you don't think it's a matter of Jamaican US. What I'm trying to tell you, the Jamaican ain't got the money like the US got. You know, so that is what I was thinking about. So why leg of them who got more money and the Jamaican and gone with the one and charge them less? You know, this is where the Caribbean is falling apart all the time. Okay, you have a nice night, okay, brother? Okay.
Yes, my brother. I understand what you're saying, and it's not normal that I have these debates with my callers or my straight up family. But at times you have to bring clarification. And as I said before, there's no court would accept. There are three branches of government: the executive, which is the cabinet; the legislative, which is the parliament; and they have the judicial branch, or the judiciary as it's called, which is the courts. And they are all separate branches of government. One arm can't tell the other arm what to do in terms of finding or sending people to prison and set parameters. They may set some parameters, but in terms of selling a court, it must charge $5,000. Every court will frown at that. And that is my humble view, my straight down family. It's 5 before at 10 o'clock, and the wind down tonight's programming, as I said, the Monday the 22nd is World Water Day, so we going to look forward to have a good discussion on water. Water, said, is life, and what and how water affects different people. It affects them in different ways. So, God's willing, on Monday we'll discuss the issue of water. And water, we know, is life. There was a high-level meeting on water today at the United Nations General Assembly. We'll have some discussion on that as well. But you know, over 2 billion people in the world still lack safe drinking water, and climate change has impacted or continues to impact freshwater systems all over the world at unprecedented scales and speeds. So the Sustainable Development Goals, goal number 6, which has the targets for 2030, and don't lose sight of the fact that the COVID-19 pandemic has exacerbated these particular developments. But as we wind down tonight's programming, I go back to the lines. I'll take about 2 more calls. Caller, you're live.
That is.
Hello, caller.
Let me thank God that we have no community spread from those people who make the outbreak, the security breach. Let me thank God. And they went to courts and the case tried. And sometimes when you go to courts, sometimes the magistrate they just see things different. And people present the case different. Maybe they had lawyers, and the lawyers whatever talk for them or whatever. So just let me thank God for that. And forget about the American and Jamaican and all these things. You understand? We are a people, because we are not black people or white people. Because whether they're black or they're white or whosoever, nobody can call to come here to breach no security, to go out there and cause no havoc in the whether St. Kitts or Nevis or whatsoever. So forget about what they charge and all kind of thing, because sometimes you could kill a man, right? And somebody do the same act like you, and you're going to court and you get where the person get lifetime in jail. So every case is different sometimes. Okay, then patches.
Thank you very much. And some people get away as well. Let's go back to the lines. Call you live.
A pleasant good evening to you. How are you?
My dear Dimples?
I'm fine. I just called you to give you my sympathy, because 2 weeks now I'm trying to get in and I cannot get in. I just thought I'd give you sympathy and wish you all the best. And I have nothing much to say, because what I have had was to say today, the Prime Minister don't answer all what I have was to say tonight. So I have nothing to say, because I don't listen to fake news. So I go to. And you have a pleasant night. When they're ready to give out the house, then I want you to be here to watch them in the face when you give out the house, then. You have a pleasant night. See you.
Have a pleasant night as well. I'll take this and perhaps make this my final call for tonight. Call you live.
Good night. Good night, Mr. Liburd.
Good night, my dear.
Yeah, you know, for years the people around there, right? By the Lagrange area. I don't know why now they want to charge the people them thing. They just give the people them squat and title and call it Georgia. What $2 about for $2 a square foot? One lady tell me she's the first person live with the years now. And now they come and talk about things. Just like how we give the man up the airport 20% of square foot. They could even give the people. I write up a paper let the people them stand the land. Because there is no adjustment to the land and everybody don't live upon one another, jump upon one another. You can't cut no street to it. So I don't know when you talk about $2 a square foot. Let the people them live on the land they free. Mr. Simon, they want to charge people too, no? And Mr. Douglas he come in and said, no, let the people them squat and live there. Now this government now come and talk about $2 a square foot. They can't say right them off like the bucklets and stuff. Everything money stuff from us for the government, but good night to you. I'm going to poor people don't get money for $20,000 right now people's land and all them there. At $10,000 to people land. Good night. I hope you enjoy and you stay in America, okay?
Thanks a lot. Good night.
Yeah.
Shoot up family.
Yeah.
That's the way. We're gonna end it tonight. Unless I take this, or perhaps let's make that my final caller, as the mayor of St. Paul's is already in the hot seat and ready to go. So don't you move your dial, my Straight Talk family. After Straight Talk, Theo Clark comes into the hot seat to play his oldie goldie non-scratch vinyl records with his Lucky Dube and so on. So my Straight Talk family, as we wind down tonight, it is my pleasure and duty to thank Almighty God for guiding our conversation tonight, and as always I want to thank you, the many callers. There's some of you who just can't get in for some reason, I just don't know, and others will get in 2, 3 and sometimes 4 times, but try again. For those of you who were on social media, Facebook, YouTube, and of course those of you on the national radio ZIZ, all who just listen, remember the callers, and don't forget the emailers, and those of you who just listened, all of you make Straight Talk, and for that reason I say a big thank you. I am Ian Patches Liburd, and God's spare we will connect on Monday for another edition of Straight Talk. And my Straight Talk family, remember, whatever your mind conceive, that you will achieve. But first of all, you got to believe. So when you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning light. Thank Him for taking you through the night. And my Straight Talk family, keep moving on. Be good to yourselves and all whom you meet. Have yourselves a wonderful weekend. Go to church, do your chores, get some rest, and be fit and ready for Monday. That's when we will connect again. Bye bye, my Straight Talk family.